So there's this kind of underground place called The World. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it has a lot of idiots in it. And those idiots get access of a computer and go onto a website called Letterboxd. You know, normally I like to say that, like, all opinions are right. It's your opinion, but there are just some people that are they're just wrong.
They're just wrong.
So I've pulled up some awful reviews of some of my favorite movies. So let's dive right in. So here's a review for There Will Be Blood, a movie that I recently just fell in love with. There was like no blood. 4 out of 10. Hey, buddy, I don't know if you watched the movie, but there definitely was some blood. Moving on to awful reviews from another movie that I really love, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Now, even though I may disagree with this person's point of view, I'm going to try to be respectful to them. So, here, I'll read their review. This movie is endless meaningless random scenes. Now, I already have an entire video explaining why this is the greatest movie ever made, so I don't really need to go too in-depth here. All I'm gonna say is that if you have at least 7 brain cells, you'll understand why this movie is good. We're moving on to reviews of another great movie called The Shining.
You mean Shining?
Shh! You wanna get sued?
I might be in the minority here, but I straight up thought this movie was boring, like really boring. I also found it to be really unscary. Even bad horror films are somewhat scary. This one was not at all! I swear to God, I'm gonna go crazy reading all these reviews. Saying you're in the minority here might be a little bit of an understatement, and you can just say things, but without proper evidence to back it up, they don't mean anything. Like, why was The Shining unscary? Because personally, I think it's one of the most horrifying films ever made. And I'll list a few reasons. And again, fear is subjective. So what I find scary, maybe you won't. For one, Halloran's death scene is pretty horrifying. Throughout the entire movie, you're giving a sense of hope that Halloran is going to come here and rescue the family. But when he's killed by Jack, that sense of hope is lost, and you have no idea what's going to happen next. The entire third act revolves around a man going insane and trying to kill his family. I think that's pretty terrifying if you ask me. The Shining isn't a slasher horror movie with dumb jump scares. It's an actual movie. This is going to give me a headache, so we're going to move on. We're moving on to reviews for another masterpiece movie, Blade Runner 2049. Just say you hate women and go. What? What? If you've actually seen the movie, you'll realize that this review makes no fucking sense. Moving on to reviews of The King of Comedy, a great Scorsese movie. Dirty ripoff, Joker was better. If you know how time works, you realize that this movie was made before Joker. I would call this person a troll, but if you go onto their Letterboxd page, they just have really bad opinions. Anyways, moving on. I really enjoy this very underrated Kubrick film called Barry Lyndon. You know me and Kubrick. Kubrick is my boy. I love him. He is the best director, hands down. I even have a book on him. So, I'll read this awful review. All of Kubrick's horrible flaws as a director and human being are excruciatingly on display in this odious non-movie. It's complete garbage. Thoroughly unwatchable. By far, this is Kubrick's worst movie. Even Eyes Wide Shut can't hold a candle to this wretched pile of stink.
Amazing. Every word of what you just said was wrong.
I honestly have no words for this review. Literally, everything about it is wrong, like Luke Skywalker said. And I need to move on before I get a heart attack and die. Hey, what's that? That right there. That is a thing. That is a thing. Hey, speaking of things, there's a movie called The Thing. And there are some really awful reviews for this movie. Let's read them. The Real Parasite. Emoji. The movie had so much potential, but the plot was a bit predictable, and man, those 80s special effects are bad. Sorry, I'm just coming to terms that a real person wrote this. A real living person. You're gonna say that The Thing, the movie with some of the greatest special effects ever put to screen, has bad special effects? It's just false. Look at it. Look at the movie. Can you call those special effects bad? Okay, I can only do one more bad review because if I do any more, I think I'm gonna actually pass out. This is a review for Mad Max Fury Road, one of the greatest action films ever made. Boring, and it had no storyline. 1 out of 10. Excuse me? How can someone in their right mind call this a boring movie? It honestly doesn't make sense to me. This is one of the most entertaining films I have ever seen. I would highly recommend you check out Mad Max Fury Road. You don't really need to watch the other movies to see it. I'm sorry, but my brain can't physically stand reading any more reviews, so I think I'm gonna have to end the video here.